Alright, welcome back everyone. It's probably not going to be the final hour because it'll be like the middle hour, we'll call it. Here's what the rides look like to this point. Hopefully this does not end. Oh my god, I almost clicked OK. Just show you what the rides look like so far. Bunch of Zone 1 stuff and then kind of low end Zone 3. I'll explain. Do not go out. Alright. So, this is just my weekly endurance ride. Right now we're at about 3 hours on the ride. Well, we've been doing 3-hour rides the last number of weeks, last month or so. They're going to get up to about 5 hour, in that range. But I'm going to build to that a little bit slower this year than I did last year. And we'll get some music going in a second. But basically, on these long rides, and I know 3 hours isn't really a long ride, but like I said, we're just callousing the system a bit here. We're doing a number of things on these. First, dialing in the nutrition, seeing exactly what sweat rate we're at, how many carbs I need. Got a good idea after the last few years, but at this point in the year, let's see what we need exactly, and that dictates kind of the nutrition for the week and stuff like that. So I'll weigh myself before, weigh myself after, take into account everything that we've taken during, how many times we've peed. We're at 2 right now. I just peed 7 minutes ago, and I gotta pee again already. Good stuff. Annoys me. I don't know. And anyway, so that's 1. 2 is some stuff with heart rate and efficiency. So we've been doing the 4 horsemen route here for the last several weeks. It has like the Volcano KOM, Epic KOM, and then the Alp. And this is why I say we're not going to show, this won't be the final hour, because after the Alp then I'll just descend down and finish out for the 3 hours. But, so 2 things. Those are the 4 segments. And over the last month, I've been keeping an eye on my times on every one of those segments. And basically during those segments, those are heart rate controlled. So I give myself a max of what I consider upper zone 2 heart rate, which is about 150 to 155. And so for the climbs, that's my ceiling. And then I take a look at from week to week, what power were we at that heart rate. And that'll give me a measure of the efficiency. And then 2, so that's a heart rate controlled segment. And then 2, the segments between the climbs are power controlled segments, where we're just kind of dawdling around in zone 1. And again, there, at certain time points, I'm taking note at 200 watts, which is zone 1, getting just like, it's not really zone 2, it's zone 2 is probably about 220, 225 where it starts. But taking a note of what heart rate. So at the 30-minute mark, for example, we're at an efficiency of 1.56. On the climbs, we're at about 1.85. And then at the 75-minute mark, we're at 1.61. So we've got better. And just, oh, snap. We gotta get back to manual. And so on these climbs, so we're coming to the Alp now. Like I said, we're heart rate controlled to upper end zone 2. And there's a number of things we're practicing. Practicing cadence stuff. So for the first about 20 to 25% of each climb, I'm just gonna low cadence it, and then I'll open that cadence out in the final 75%. And I'm going to shut up in a second because the other thing that we're doing in these rides is, you'll notice throughout, I'm going to have like an intense focus on that number up there. And again, we're capping it at 150, 155. It's like as high as I'm going to allow it to get. And basically, I'm going to stare at that number. Because the other thing that we're doing with these long rides is we're training the mind to be able to focus for that long. And something I'm working on, I basically want it so that, like, when you're out there and I'm staring at power, right, for several hours, I want it that in hour 5, my mind, my body's not only good, my mind is also good. And it's not drifting, looking at the birds on the side. Right? We're focused the entire time. And so you're going to see me, I'm going to be quiet here, I'm just going to be staring at that number. Just keeping it, like I said, upper zone 2, like what I consider the ceiling of zone 2, which is 150 to 155, and that's all we do. So anyways, I'm going to get some music going. See if we can do non-copyright. So if you have any questions throughout, feel free. I can still talk, obviously, at this. It'll probably end up being about 280. For the first 2 climbs, it was Volcano was 281, so it's like 4.7, 60 kilo. Climb 2 was 277. Radio tower is 282, all at the same heart rate. So we'll see if we can get around that range here as well. Let me know if the music's too loud, whatever. So like I said, first 20 to 25% of the climb, I'm just going to start nice big gear, and then we'll get back to more reasonable cadence. So like I said, I just want to focus. And that's one of the big things we're working on. Focusing on that number, not drifting off into another world. Just focus, intense focus. Because we got to be able to focus for 4 or 5 hours. So in that Grand Fondo, if hour 3.5, you're wandering, kind of losing it a bit, which I've noticed in some triathlon races that I've had. I've felt like on the bike sometimes, last 30 minutes, my mind's wandering to the run, but sometimes just wandering. I want it that is, I'm just going to stare at that power. I'm not going to think about anything else. In this case, we're staring at the heart rate and not getting it, letting it get above where it is right now approximately. Hopefully this doesn't go to any copyrighted music. The non-copyright stuff, I don't know. If anyone thinks I should start making music, let me know. The non-copyright stuff, like, listen to this, it's so fluffy. It's like, what are we, on a beach? Like, give me a bass. It's just this tropical little music. So about the 10-minute mark is where we'll pick the cadence up. I just broke a nail. There goes my guitar. I'll adjust that camera in a second. So with the heart rate stuff, like we're trying to see, like measure of aerobic fitness, right? Like see if there's cardiac drift. Basically, if the heart rate's going up and the power's staying the same through those power controlled sections, then we know efficiency's going down, obviously. I mean a bunch of things. Basically, gotta keep working the endurance. And also, drink up. Probably dehydrated too. So after this turn, that's how it's been the last month or so. Then we'll get back to a more normal cadence. If you're wondering why I don't give kudos sometimes, is on this computer, I don't want to touch anything. Basically, I want to keep it minimal. I was quite nervous going to the timeline there. I don't want to just leave it be. Uh-oh. Went a little too hard there. Now this is where I have to focus quite a bit when the cadence is high, because my natural tendency is a lot lower. So here I gotta focus a little bit to keep the cadence up. But I want that intense focus, right? That's what I'm practicing. That music's kind of annoying me a bit here. This is a better song. Alan Walker. Going to the little ring so I can really keep that cadence up. basically at that ceiling right now. For me, zone 3 tempo is more like 160 to 170. Threshold 180 to 190. Field 2, 200 plus. Warm up heart rate's kind of like 130, 140. On the run, when I start running, I'm basically 145, like tying my shoes, basically. Then me breathing through my nose is 150, 155. Thank you for the likes. My torch needs a break. Standing for a minute. Heart rate looks pretty steady throughout. It's good. That's what we want. I don't feel like it's creeping at all, so we're good. Music sucks. I'm gonna play Vero, and I'll credit them. Too excited. Let's predict the time. I'm gonna guess 44:58. See how close I get. How did I not get the power up there? Getting close to that time. It's impossible. Sorry, man. last week, doing the same thing, 54-24. Oh man, you see that prediction? 1 second. I'm not slowing down. I'm keeping it heart rate controlled. So 155 is the max. Guys, if I get this right, better subscribe to the channel, because I'm predicting big things and they come true when I predict them. Heart rate's going a little crazy. I got too excited that I was gonna be right. Spinning like crazy. 2 seconds off. If I didn't spin out there. Alright. Gonna shut this down in just a bit. Hey, we got an arrow power up. We still got an hour left, but I won't show that part. Because this will just be 200. Zone 1. And then we'll see what the heart rate is there. Excuse me. See what the heart rate is. Like I said, 30-minute mark. We're 1.61 or 1.56, sorry, and then 75 is 1.61. Back point. Oh, I forgot the last thing. It's about 272 at probably 153. So that's good. Zone 2 heart rate and 4.5, roughly 4.55. Anyway, so as I said, I'm gonna start doing, like, I just did this today because I'm like, you know what, that might be fun. Give me something to look forward to. Get into stream. And also gives you an idea of what I'm doing outside of the races and stuff like that. Maybe gives you a little look into that. And like I said, I'm just going to build this long ride up a little slower this year. Last year, basically week on week, I was just like increasing time. And I don't think like I really gave my body like time to like be like, we're good for this amount of time. You know, it didn't have a second to like think and be like, so how was that ride actually? You know, like how was the 4-hour one? Because before you even think about it, you're into a 4.5-hour one. And then 5-hour, etc. So I'm really given time to just like, because we have a lot of time, unfortunately, but also, like I said, we have time, and also I just want to give it like 3 hours it's nothing. You know, then 3.5 hours is nothing. And then the ultimate, by the end, I think I'll do 2 laps of the 4 horsemen. And that should be about 5 hour, in that range. Where am I gonna hit this arrow power? Let's go right here. Anyway, so I'll shut this down when we get to the bottom. I just don't want to take my hand off the gas here. I don't want to freewheel. But, in any case, let me know if you found this useful at all, or just incredibly boring. I don't know. Gotta do something about that music. In terms of nutrition, at this intensity, which like for the whole ride, like with the climbs and these little in-between parts and stuff like that, it'll average out to like zone 2, in that range. Kind of low, mid, zone 2. And I've calculated that at that intensity, my sweat rate isn't actually absurd. In the past, oddly, very oddly, in the past, it's been very high, and I don't know, but I feel like it's gone down in the last year. But at least at zone 2, it's very low. It's like 1.05, somewhere in that range, 1.1 I think it was last week. So it's like liters per hour. It's nothing. At this intensity, at least. I know from previous times when I've done sweat tests at like much higher intensities, I've measured like well over 2, 2.6, 2.7, sometimes, like really high. At this intensity, though, it's quite low, at least, with 2 fans going. It's not that warm down here right now. But in any case, so we're taking in right now 3.5 liters over the ride, and have, again at this intensity, from playing around with it, at 60 grams an hour, I'm getting fuzzy around hour 45, in that range, after a high carb meal last night, always before the long rides. At 100 grams an hour, it's too much for this intensity. Like, I'm not really using enough, I think. I actually feel like, I don't know if this, like, ironically, at 100 grams, I also feel fuzzy. Like, I don't know, it's weird. I don't think it makes any sense, but I've done that before. Like, done like ridiculous amounts of carbohydrates on long rides sometimes, and I still get fuzzy. I don't know. I feel like almost like you're getting so dependent on it. I don't know, probably something like that. I have no idea. But all I know from this intensity, from knowing exactly what I bonk at, and above that, to avoid that from happening, like, I'm around 72 grams right now per hour at this intensity, which, like, right now it should be like not a lot of carbs being used right now at this intensity. So anyway, 72 grams an hour gets me by without bonking. In a race, I'll be up 100 or above. best I ever felt coming off a bike. Well, there are 2 times. First was in Penticton. Coming off that bike, I felt amazing. Like, psychologically, I mean, like, I didn't feel fuzzy. Like, I felt like, oh, we're ready to run right now. And on that bike, I don't think you'd believe this. If I go back through my notes, I have it somewhere in there. It was like 125 grams an hour, 130. I think it was actually even a little bit above that. Because I had the F2C on the course, and then I had like super concentrated bottles of Infinite on the bike, and I was just taking every bottle I can get. And it wasn't even that like it was that hot or anything. People thought it was really hot at that race. For me, coming from Southern Ontario here, the thing is it was hot, yeah, but like the air temperature was hot, but it wasn't humid. So I didn't actually find it like sweltering. It's when it's here, north of Toronto or Toronto area, when there's 100% humidity, you know, when it feels 40 with the Humidex, that's when I'm like, whew, like dying. Or Florida. I've had many ones in Florida where it's exactly that. Death. But anyways, I took like a ridiculous amount because I had like huge amounts in my bottles. And then the F2C bottles too. Felt great coming off that bike. No problem. And part of that too was that I underbiked. And that was because I just hadn't been running going into that race. So I was like, I mean, it seems a little counterintuitive. You would think, oh, if you've not really run going into a race, your only chance is like smash it on the bike. But I kind of thought it the other way around. I was like, I'm not confident in my run legs to begin with. I'm definitely not confident in them if we get to the run and we're dead. Like, I want it so that like I get to the run and I feel like mentally good, physically like taking a lot of sugar, and like we're basically carb loaded up for that run. And like there's going to be no extraneous variables that affect this run. It's just going to be your fitness. That's it. That's the only variable I want. So there's that race. And then the other was Indian Wells a couple years ago. Felt really good coming off that bike. And I took around 105 on the bike there. I had a mix of things. Precision hydration mixed into all the bottles, and then some gels as well. Some Morton or Martin, whatever you want to call it. But anyways, this works for this intensity at least, like just from experimentation. I know what I bonk at. I know what I don't bonk at. And this seems to be right in the sweet spot of that, where I feel like I'm low end, that I'm not just taking stupid amounts of sugar when I'm not even really burning that much, and it's just going to sit there. It's right in the middle. Any case, all good. So I'm going to stop talking so I can focus again, because that's the other thing, right? Like I said, with these long rides, with those last year, when I was getting up to those big 5.5 hour rides on the trainer, I was just kind of like, you know, sitting there just sleeping halfway through. And the thing is you can't do that in a race, right? Or you can't do that outside. Or if you have a race with like some technical sections, like a descent, and you get to that descent, you know, let's just say if we're doing Grand Fondo, New York, you get to the Bear Mountain descent, right, and people are booking it, right, and you're kind of like just off in La La Land, ain't gonna end well. You gotta be fully engaged, fully locked in the entire time. And so that's what we're doing with this. We're just callousing the mind to be like, we can do this. I know I can do this length, and I can focus really well for 3 hours without, you know, watching movies or anything like that. And then we'll go to 3.5 eventually, once I feel really like we're good with this. Thanks, man. How are you doing? I don't know if you can hear. I'm guessing you can hear me. I wouldn't say I'm killing it just yet. Give me about a month and a half. Then we'll be smashing. Because that's when VO2 max will start. And then we'll start cranking. One of my big goals this year, it sounds insane, but one of my goals is to get my 4-minute power to 460 watts, up from 447 at 60 kilo. Sounds crazy. I ain't putting no limits on it. It's gonna happen. I think if I could do whole Ronstadt workouts at 460, and we can do that at 460. And then the FTP, that will go up as well. So we've had, let me just stop for 1 second, stop talking. Now I write down, don't look UCI. We got hands on the bars here. So we've gone down a little. Not as good. I'd say it's been about 133. So 1.51. 1.56, 1.61, 1.51. And then on the climbs, 1.8, 1.8, 1.8. And then this last one, we'll check the average in a sec. .78, roughly. So, pretty consistent. I don't know if my big thing is that, like, I just haven't been swimming. Like, that's the main variable here. And I mean, I didn't swim really at all last year. I swam twice, like when things shut down. It was the weirdest thing. Like, I kept thinking like, oh, I'll be swimming in the summer, no problem, right? You know, I'll get into the lakes and go to Gulliver's and stuff like that, and we'll get some good swim training in. And then the Tour de Zwift happened, or like the La Tapta Tour, and then I started going on this, like, I'm gonna just dismantle the Alp mission, and I was so focused on that, right, that literally, like, I felt like by the time, like, I lifted my head up to just, like, look around and see what was going on, it was September. And then the Zwift Academy started. So it's kind of like, oh my goodness, I haven't swam in months. And it just kind of, like, poof, gone. Drifted on by. It just went so fast. And so, I mean, I ain't gonna go if there's if I don't have a vaccine, right, I just think it's like in a public pool here, no matter what they say they're doing, it's like whatever guidelines they think they're following. You know, when they say something like max 4 swimmers per lane, I'm like, 4 swimmers a lane. In non-COVID times when there was 4 swimmers a lane, I was getting upset. I was like, man, can't do anything. Can't swim. So I mean, 4 swimmers in a lane now, people all heavily breathing after sets. I don't know. I don't trust it, so I'm gonna wait. And with that being said, it's like very likely I don't foresee that in May or June. By that point, I'll have a vaccine. Don't think so. 28-year-old guy, I'd say I'm last on the list probably to get it. So my hope is that I'm back at triathlon in the fall, and in the spring it'll be some run races, 10K hopefully. We'll see. We'll see. It's all we'll see. And potentially some bike races, which again, we'll see. Unfortunately. I'll just lift this up a bit. Anyways. So that's the game plan. Oh yeah, I think like the Subaru things there. And I mean, not to be the negative Nelly here, but it's like we don't even know if the vaccine's, you know, effective on the variants, right? We know the AstraZeneca isn't. It's straight up said it's not effective, right? So I mean, Pfizer can say all they want. Pfizer's testing of the vaccine to begin with, I bet you, was accelerated quite a bit. So I mean, to say that they've also tested it on 4 new variants, I don't know. I don't think so. You know, because I just saw there was another one that came out, like a Nigerian variant. It's like, holy jumping. Like, you know, we've just discovered that, and I bet you if you ask someone there, they're like, oh, it'll work for that. It'll work. It's like, you barely tested it on the first one. Anyways, so. The best question that somebody asked one of the doctors there was, so, if somebody doesn't get the booster, like if they don't get the second shot of the Pfizer, what's the effectiveness? And the doctor's like, we don't know. Like, do you think it's like 70%? We don't know. It's never been tested. I don't know. So, I think a lot of it's just like I'm like, we'll see. I think a lot of that kind of stuff is also, we'll see. We'll see what happens, right? I've had to pee for an hour and a half. My God. But then, yeah, like the Subaru and stuff like that, I don't know. Maybe they do small waves or something, right? But even that, it's like, it's the congregating, right? That's the problem. Right, it's the people who are going to want to be, hey, so how was your race? Right, whatever. And just come up to you. Forget. Right, assume that, oh, I'm an athlete. I don't have it. It's like, might be asymptomatic. Who knows? I don't know. Yeah, basically. Are they doing that still? Or this year? When do those start up? Hey, Brett's here. I think he just joined me. Oh, okay, yeah. So they're gonna push that, yeah. Should have some exciting things to watch, so I mean, Challenge Miami should be pretty exciting. Hopefully the coverage doesn't cut out right at the end. That's it. I'd love to get to the point, Brett, that I can say, you're famous now, but we got 3 people watching. So I mean, eventually, I'll just keep grinding away. Nice, okay. Good luck with that. Is it a TT race? You're on a TT bike here. Saw those vicious, absolutely vicious sprints, didn't you? You saw the one in the group ride there. Nobody even challenged me. Like, it was the weirdest race ever. Like, well, it wasn't even a race. I didn't think it was. I thought it was a group ride. And then I realized, like 5 minutes in, oh my goodness, I'm like 100 people back. And then I just kind of leapfrogged my way up. Not all the way up, because I still was like, I just want to work on my sprint here. I don't want to have to drill it here. And I thought that's what it was, that second one. I just wanted to have a nice social ride, and then everyone just drill the final sprint. But then the absolute mess was then I started getting let out by Z-Power, didn't realize it, realized it, tried dropping back, made a big effort to drop, like a big effort, made an effort to drop back. So I stopped pedaling basically to get back to the next chase group. And then by the time they get up, nobody sprinted. Like, so nobody challenged. All that was a waste. The first one was good though. I was quite happy with the sprint. Unfortunately, I had the slowest wheels in the game on the bike. And then there was a couple sketchy things there. If you saw the guy who came second, his power just sat at 19.6 watts per kilo. I'm not saying that's impossible, but he sat at that for 5 seconds and it didn't waver at all. It just sat 19.6 and then dropped like very sharply and then went to like 11.6, and then it was floating around. But it was really weird how it just like was steady 19.6 for 5 seconds straight, and he just blew me away. So my 15th second in the race, you saw me scrolling through the timelines there. Those are all I figured out afterwards from Training Peaks. It was actually a lot better than I thought it was, even in the race. The 22nd in the second one was 750 something, 752 I think. And then the 15s, interestingly in both races, were 761 and 762. So 12.7, 12.7. So I'm quite happy with that. I've had better, but like it was pretty good. It's coming for sure. Anywho, I'm going to shut this down now. Thanks again for the comments. I just want to focus now on the last little bit here. get back to that. Good luck with the race. And it was a nice chat. And we'll catch you in next week for another little video. Yeah, I think everyone is, for sure. Alrighty, you too. Have a good race. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you later, probably Tuesday. We'll catch in for a workout, couple workouts, like a more vlog type video. Alright, see you then.